Since COVID, we've seen more and more people become transient, moving from one jurisdiction to another jurisdiction for a variety of different reasons. Maybe it's political issues, practical reasons, personal reasons, maybe cost of living, taxation issues. We've seen the entire spectrum of reasons drive people from one jurisdiction to another, whether it's domestically from one state to another state, or whether it's abroad from one country to another country. There's a lot of different channels on YouTube right now, a lot of them that I like and I think give really, really good practical information on what to do when it comes to moving from one country to another country. So we're going to talk about today what happens if you can't move from one country to another country. So let's get into it. So I think all of us love this idea. If you're here in the United States, where I'm located, I'm in Houston, Texas, just one day packing up and moving to another country. So there's a few different countries that are really popular right now: Colombia, UAE, Portugal. There's others. That's just a few. But people are looking to move to these different jurisdictions for a handful of reasons: cost of living, the quality of life, tax issues, the ability to have citizenship elsewhere. So we've seen a lot of different things drive the reasons why people go elsewhere. So there's this question, though, particularly as we see more and more content created on YouTube and elsewhere about how to uproot your life and go somewhere else, get a legitimate passport, get citizenship or a residency in these other countries. But what happens if you can't do that? Maybe you can't move to another country. Maybe you can't uproot your entire life and live a digital nomad lifestyle, but maybe you could move from, let's say, California to Texas or New York to Florida. We've seen a lot of that happen, maybe even New York to Tennessee. So what happens though if you can't move cross country, or you can't even move across state lines because of family reasons, practical reasons, maybe even your professional life just doesn't allow you to do this? So there are some solutions to be able to take advantage of the best laws that might be out there that are available to you. So I'm a estates and trust attorney, so we're going to focus on how trust planning can really help you take advantage of this idea of moving jurisdictions for purposes of better laws, better privacy, better tax reasons, better tax consequences, right? So there are some states, I think there's 7 to 9 states, I can't remember the exact number, that don't have a state income tax. I live in one of those in Texas. Florida is another big jurisdiction or a heavily populated jurisdiction that doesn't have a state income tax, as well as Texas, Wyoming, South Dakota, Tennessee. Tennessee is becoming more and more popular as a jurisdiction or location that doesn't have a state income tax. But what happens if you just can't pack up your entire life and move? So what you can do, depending on your situation, is you could set up a trust in a jurisdiction that doesn't have a state income tax. Now, what you have to look at, though, is tax laws and trust laws in both jurisdictions, meaning, or maybe multiple jurisdictions. You have to look at where the trust is domiciled, and that will be in the trust agreement, where the trustee is located, where the beneficiaries are located, even where the assets are located. So there's all these different things that you have to look at to see what is tying you to a particular taxing jurisdiction. So that's kind of the first step in this process. But essentially what can happen for a lot of clients, they can either move their closely held business interest or brokerage account to a trust that's domiciled in a state with no state income tax for purposes of avoiding income tax, capital gains tax. Maybe it's, that you're trading on that brokerage account, or maybe you're selling that business, that closely held business interest, and you're going through a liquidity event. You can minimize your state income taxes, your capital gains tax significantly just by moving your assets to a trust in one of these trust-friendly jurisdictions that doesn't have a state income tax. We see a lot of this planning in South Dakota, Nevada, Delaware. We see less and less in Delaware because South Dakota and Nevada have the best trust laws available. One in these trusts are really referred to as incomplete gift non-grantor trust, ING or ING trust. Not a lot of attorneys really specialize in this kind of planning, But essentially, what this is, for lack of better words, is a domestic asset protection trust. And so you have to set it up the right way. You got to make sure it's a non-grantor trust as opposed to a grantor trust. I won't get into that here. But at the end of the day, it's as simple as moving your assets to a trust in a jurisdiction with out of state income tax, like South Dakota, that has really flexible laws that make sure that even after you set up an irrevocable trust for purposes of tax planning, you're not getting locked into something that doesn't work for you long term. So rather than having to move across the world to have asset protection or to be tax efficient or even uproot your entire life and move 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 miles away to another state, you can accomplish a lot of tax strategies by simply setting up a trust in the right jurisdiction.